Hello, everybody. Sorry for those pauses. That was just me. How are we doing tonight? Welcome, everybody. Have a seat. Come on, man. Don't let the door hit you on the butt on the way in. How'd you like that intro? It was nice. Huh? Getting them down a little bit better. Okay, so I do like to start off with the intro, and I want to focus more on the intro. So without further ado, escape movies are Escape, George A. Romero. You know that guy, the guy that happened to make the movie, this one, you know. That is, I liked that. I saw that quote and I saw it and I was like, that is exactly why I love movies, because they're an escape. There's somewhere I can go, somewhere I can be. I can, sometimes if the environment I'm around is not an environment I want around, you can escape, which is good and bad thing. But sometimes you want to just kind of, what I'm trying to say is it's a good pause on life events if you just want to kind of drift away. But I was as I was going through the quotes, I was like, man, he's right. And I found this other quote that George A. Romero said, and man, I was like, what? This is so crazy. Check this one out. As a filmmaker gets typecast just as much as an actor does, I'm trapped in a genre that I love, but I'm trapped in it. George A. Romero. That is, imagine, like, he's like a golden handcuff, the love that you have for what you do, and it's kind of holds you back a little bit. That to me is like, wow, it's a little tough there. But hey, he's a professional. He did what he does, what he did, and respect him. So that being said, I'm still doing it again. I went up. I did it again. Did stand up, and I did horrible. I bombed. I crashed. I burned. It felt good. I enjoyed it. It was just a vent. But as I've been practicing stand-up for the last 5 weeks, something I've been reaching out, something that's hard for me to do, and I enjoy it, challenging myself, right? Because that's why we're here. But seeing all these things about challenging myself, seeing that quote from George A. Romero, I kind of have a guest today that I'm really happy to be here tonight. He's a friend of the show of the End of the Night. He's been there many times. He's a friend of the Indie Escape. I got a intro for him, so let's pop this bad boy open. Let's get started. Let's get our guest in here. Let's do this little intro. Hey, what a great intro, ladies and gentlemen. Jim Krut. Hey, Jim, how's it going?
Wow, that was a terrific intro, Jim. I'm impressed by your work and humbled by the attention and adulation. Thank you so much, CJ. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine. Thank you. I love you taking time out of your busy day to come hang out with me, because when you sent all this stuff over, I was like, this is like way too much stuff here. I gotta show people what he has. Like, this is so cool. This is everything. Like, the thing is, I don't even know where to begin, Jim, because last time, like, I'm gonna pop up here and there. Everybody that knows that we hung out on this episode at End of the Night. So if anybody wants to check us out, we're all just there chilling, Scott, Dave, and Jim. So after that interview, I was just like, this guy is just, it's a great show, and it was a good like, informative show of anything. I love that, and I was just kind of like, man, I gotta reach out to him. I gotta try, because you're just such a great just. I don't want to kiss your butt too much in front of everybody here, but Matt Staley says,
Turn the other cheek. I say that to do that in the Bible, if that helps out.
Okay, thank you. Matt Staley says, hey, Jim.
Thank you. Hey, Matt.
So Matt is part of Libmatic Films, half the mindset of that, with one of your movies. It's just started off, Darkness Waits. You were in Darkness Waits. You got to be with a lot of people from that have been on the End of the Night or been on the Indie Escape. How was it? How was that movie? How was your role?
The role was fun, and it was a very different kind of film shoot than I think any that I'd done before. And I got pieces of the script kind of as we went along. And so I didn't really get the whole picture until I got to see the final film in the movie
Oh,
at
that's
the premiere. And it was it was different than having the whole script in front of you. And, oh, this was, no,
eh,
I just got to do my character, do it how I wanted to do it. And the direction was just really fun and fine. The settings, the scenes, there were a lot of cool things happening all around, and just some great people to work with. Libby McDermott, who had done Dead Woman's Hollow, and Matt Staley, her husband, just just terrific people to work with. And Darkness Waits is a bit of a sequel to Dead Woman's Hollow,
I thought
and
that. I thought so.
yeah, they're some of the characters, the ones that got killed off, are not still in it. I, I don't mean to, send you any spoilers here, but there's some death in there. Yeah,
Just a
yeah,
little bit. Yeah, I know. I know. I like here. I had it here. I had there you go. Boom. Darkness waits.
yep. That's me eating a donut. For some reason, I seem to get cast in this badge carrying role, and it's okay because there are usually donuts with it.
I'll say I did say there's this shot in Darkness Waits where it's you and the other gentleman, the deputy, and you really are just it's like a majestic shot because it's spoiler, it's a horror movie. So as you're or kind of it's thriller. And as you're watching this movie, it's intense, and all of a sudden there's just there's a scene there where you're just eating a donut, and it's very calming, and it's like I was like this is probably the calmest part of this movie before it ramps up again. It's like it's a great I like what they did there. I was he's just it's just a cutaway shot of him eating, and it reminds you that hey it's okay.
That's a very good point because I think it's one of the hallmarks of a really good film.
Hmm.
Uh, Back probably 100 years ago in German theater, and I had a lot of background in theater, so I learned about this. There's this effect where the audience gets really drawn into the story. I mean, they're like really buying into it and leaning forward. And sometimes it's terrifying, sometimes it's uh, otherwise engaging. And then maybe a character will stop as the action on the stage stops, walk up to the audience and say, this is just a play. And we're, what? So you kind of need a break in the action. And I think George Romero had that same beautiful technique of being able to interject a little humor, which
Yeah.
whoa, sets you back a little bit. You didn't see that coming, or this is supposed to be serious, isn't it? Well, maybe not. Who knows? It's however you interpret it. But if it kind of breaks up the action, it kind of resets you, so you have more energy going into the next scenes.
Yeah, I work at the theater, and every time I do like an improv sketch show, I like the runners. That's like my favorite part. Is like actually writing. I'm finding out I like writing runners. It's like a three piece runner. It'll be like something happens in the beginning of the play or the show, and then they bring it back in the middle of the show, and then they bring it back at the end of the show, and it's the same like kind of twist of the joke. I've been liking those a lot. I've been really enjoying a lot of the on just theater. I'm a theater kid myself. I'm always like kind of hybridish, like where I like theater and I was in theater and I played sports. So I was like a jock thespian, but I was also part of the AV club. So it's kind of like I just kind of like being all over the place. So here we go. I got some Joe Ridley in the house. Good evening, gentlemen. Great to see you on the network again, Jim.
Well,
Nice.
thank you very much, Joe. It's always a pleasure, and I hope you're doing well. But my friend, it's good you're up and about, and look forward to seeing you again.
Awesome, awesome. Then we got Brandon Salisbury. Jim is the man. I believe he's right. He's accurate about that.
Brandon is a terrific guy. He and his wife Amber were at Living Dead weekend in Pittsburgh, and we might have him down sometime to check out the garden.
Oh
Andrew
yes.
offered to pull some weeds for us, and I don't know if Brandon went along with that yet, but I know he's got a work schedule too that we're going to try to work around.
Pulling weeds. Oh, but I mean, I love pulling weeds. Before the show started, right before the show started, we're talking gardening, and I was like, oh, I didn't know
Yeah.
Jim was a gardener. I'm gonna start bothering him now. He's got tomatoes as well. We got Brandon E. Brooks, my brother from the Indie Escape. We had a great intro from Jim and CJ. Welcome back to our network, Jim. We always appreciate your awesome presence on here. Cool. And
Bless you. Thank you for your kind words.
Then we have Matt Staley again. Thanks for the kind words. It's great to work with you as well. And then we got I got these Salisbury's combinations. Let's see.
They're great folks. Even Brandon says he's happy to pull weeds. So that's.
Let's go. So Brandon says hi.
Teamwork thing going. Hey.
Amber says hi, and then says happy to pull weeds for you, Jim. Brandon's all right. We got it. It's sorry, Brandon. It's on the show. You said it. He's gonna pull the weeds. Glad to see Jim back on the network. Seems like a great guy. Timothy Milliken. Thank you, brother. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so everybody. So where was I gonna go? I mean, Jim. I didn't mean to put a lot of stuff into this episode, but it just kept going. It's flowing. So I'm just gonna pick at stuff here, and we'll see where we go. Let's see. I was like, because I thought what I thought was cool was you're sending me your characters, and what you said right now was that you about the Darkness Waits, that you just got a portion, you got your portion. So my question that you actually inadvertently answered just by telling me, I was like, as an actor, was it cool, like just or was it good knowing that you had just your part you have to focus on and that's it? Like you don't know what's gonna end, you don't know where you're going, you just know that here are my scenes, here are my lines. Did you enjoy it? Was that better for you as an actor, or would you prefer to know the whole thing?
Anymore, I guess because some scripts go in a lot of different directions, it's nice to know what you might be in that you might not want to be in later.
Okay.
But it was interesting because when you're really totally focused on your own role and you're not sure who you're interacting with, but on set, what you're doing is interacting with people that you haven't met before. So it's kind of that same reaction. It's, you have some bonds with some folks and some humorous interaction with other people. And it just kind of evolves naturally. It was I don't know if it's a technique, but I think it worked pretty well for Darkness Waits.
Yeah, no, I think it's because I know Kevin Smith did that for Clerks. Because I know Scott Schiaffo has brought that up where he just got his portion of it. We got another comment here. Brandon, he says, Jim, really enjoyed your work in a couple of indie films friends of mine are in. A Host of Sparrows and the Maladjusted? Maladjusted. Oh, cool.
Host of Sparrows was great. Working with the director, Kevin Boone, I learned a lot about being an actor on film from him as well. I mean, you can... I've been working in theater for a number of years, and I've probably done about 25 films, something like that. But you always learn. And a good director is the one who brings out the best in you to bring out the best in the story and to bring out the best in everybody else around you on the set, who's interacting in those scenes. So I'm very grateful for that role. And I have to say it was a hoot and a half. I really love the people I worked with. It was pretty much an ensemble situation. Very briefly takes place in a sort of a country inn, and everybody's cut off. The roads are flooded.
Okay.
And it always seems to be raining. They did a terrific job with the rain machines. And in an independent film, you don't just say, bring in the rain machine. No, you are the rain. You hook this up and you hook that. So it was, in a way, like one of the, I was going to say Agatha Christie type murder mysteries. And I can't tell you really too much about it unless you've already seen it. Anyway, I played a hitman in it. And for me, it was a fun role. It was really, and I thank you very much for the comment, Brandon. I'm glad you enjoyed that.
Is it this role right here? Is it this one?
That's it. That's it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you look a little hitmanish there. you pulled the part off there. Who's that portrait with you and as a character? Is that like your counter?
I think that was Hillary, and we worked together as a man and wife hit team.
Oh, cool! That's awesome.
And, so this was, you talked about different segments of the film, because as the film goes on, there are these revelations about, well, who actually did the shooting back then? Well, wasn't that you? It's just really because I kind of look like I do now. But they sort of tried to take a few years off of me, like this thing had happened. This particular episode or assassination took place earlier,
Yeah.
and it was just kind of fun and fascinating the way it all came together. Everything from the makeup and effects to just really, I really enjoy the ensemble part of filmmaking and acting.
Yes.
Again, my main background had been in theater, and if you think about the difference between theater and film, uh, in film, maybe you get a script 6 or 8 weeks ahead of time, and when you get time, you're working on it yourself. When you're working in theater, you might be spending 6 or 8 weeks on set rehearsing with other people, getting things right, the blocking, adjusting this, that, and then toward the end, you get the costumes, the makeup, and the other things that come together. But by that working together, you really build an ensemble feeling. And what happens is, I think there's a kind of a harmonic energy that develops from all these people working together for the same goal. And that energy is larger than the sum of those people individually.
Yeah, you're right.
So you have this power of the stage, which I just found it both infectious and just loved it and fascinating.
I like that the stage doesn't lie. Like it is true. You're raw. You're there. You gotta perform. Like in film, you're right. You can learn your lines on set. Like you could like in minutes you can do a scene. Theater, you cannot. It's like pa 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 pa, and it's live. So when I do the tech booth. So I'm there doing the pulls and the ins and outs, like the lights and the music and everything. And at a certain point, I had to like really like, oh, this is like video editing, but it's just live. So I had
Yeah,
to learn. I had to learn that I can't. If I mess up, it's okay. But I gotta come back. I gotta be quick because if you gotta figure out what your problem is, and I like problem solving, but I do have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. J.W. Caldwell has a question for you, Jim.
oh,
From the Generation movie, we have J.W. He says, "Do you have a favorite role you have gotten to play, or a dream play role?"
I think one of my favorite roles really was in A Host of Sparrows, just because there was some subtlety to it, some mystery, and I got to play with some adults. Some folks who had done a lot of film work and theater work, and it's a gift to be able to interact
Yes.
and to be blessed with good direction at the same time. And I would also put up there Darkness Waits, simply because I just really, really enjoyed working with everybody. With Libby, with Matt, with my co-players on set, and I just think the end result, came off so much better than I thought when I was actually doing it.
Yeah.
I think in theater you only have one chance to do a line, you only have one chance to do a scene, and then you move on to the next. But I think there was a question here, the differences in pros and cons between working in theater and working on film. And again, you have to know the play from the beginning to the end, and there's no stopping. We had a play we did with Gettysburg Stage a few years back, and it was American Buffalo. And it's all about this buffalo nickel, which was supposedly very valuable, and in his pawn dealer shop, and I was the pawn dealer. And some of the lines are very similar. And we got about a third of the way through the play, and we realized that we hadn't talked about this nickel at all. We had skipped a couple pages just because we had jumped from one similar line to another similar line.
Yeah.
So we said, let's take a look in the showcase here just to make sure. What the hell are we going to do now?
Yeah. I had a
Let's
similar
take it
thing.
back from so and so, so and so. Okay. By golly, we just picked it up from the previous part that we had skipped. Went right through that, finished it off, and I don't think the audience was really aware. So it's that kind of live excitement that puts you on your toes. You have to know it from beginning to end. But some playwrights, I think they just do that. They They put someone, well, I think so. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think so. Those same kinds of lines will tend to trip you up. Uh, and again, you're doing them once and then you're done. And then this energy that you've been working on and toward for 6 or 8 weeks, now it kind of comes to a culmination on stage, and
Yeah.
you're surrounded by this multi-faceted range of colors and sounds and energies, and it's just a beautiful thing. And then curtain, and then you're done. And
Yeah.
you can't sleep for a couple of days just because this stuff is still coursing through your veins. When it comes to film, you put everything into that scene and you say, okay, that's pretty good. I'm not sure about the lighting. Let's run that again. Jim, run that scene again. Okay, we're going to run that scene again. And you put that same kind of energy into it. And then it's, I think there was a plane or something that went over, something bulldozer was driving by. There's an audio problem. We got to redo that. Jim, how about let's do that again? Okay. So you're really getting good at this, but you're also getting kind of tired. This fierce energy you're trying to put into each line and each scene. But it's a challenge. And if you like a personal challenge, working in theater or in film, either one is quite a challenge, but so rewarding. So rewarding.
It is, yeah. I think I recently went through, like, just last week I had to unplug because it was just like I hit a wall mentally. It was just too much. Like, just weeks and weeks and weeks of just trying to burn. The body is like, I can do this, but the mind was like, I need a break. And I always like that I have the theater, like I go to the theater because I get to kind of just, I have to focus. I have to be here. I can't think of anything else. And I like that I have that balance, but at certain points I'm just like, but I want to write. I want to do that. I want to perform. it starts eating at me. It's just, I can't, like, that's why I'm doing stand up. I watched stand up comedians for a year and a half. I was teching them, and I knew I was going to do, so I knew I was going to do theater. I knew I was going to get better at, like, improv. I knew I was going to get better at sketch writing. That's what I was looking for. I didn't realize I was going to get stand up theater every single shift. And then a stand up comic. I'm sorry. And I got at the theater, and then it just started. I was like, I've been watching comedy since I was like 4 years old. Like, this is just, it's in me. I just started coming out. So I was like, oh, I can't help it. And I enjoy it. That's why I love the stage. Let's see. Brandon E. Brooks says, you were chilling in it, Jim. Great performance. Mike Sutton is a longtime buddy of mine. I cast in a film of mine. Brandon E. Brooks had Mike Sutton on the movie of his. Cool.
Well, Brandon, thank you very much. Mike Sutton was a pleasure to work with. He's one of the lead actors in A Host of Sparrows. And again, just a pleasure to work with. And thank you for casting him and giving him additional work, because I always like to see talent that, continues beyond the show that you're in. And thank you for the kind comments.
All right. So I was like, since you sent me these characters, who's this character right here?
This is a doctor from Zombthology. And the idea was that I think 3 or 4 different directors would do short zombie films, and they'd put them together and it would be called Zombthology. Well, I was cast in a role in one of those segments as a doctor. And the idea was that this patient would come in with a kind of look like a foot infection. And as a doctor, I guess I look very doctorly, put a white coat on, stethoscope. Hey,
you're good.
Doctor. If just if you have a problem, just keep putting this cream on it, and then come back in a week. And then comes back in a week and takes off a sock and gets, oh God, this horrible mange stuff is looking all over his foot and up his leg. And the problem is he's eating the neighbors. And so his wife's getting very concerned. So anyway, I was one of the calming influences there until I got a little surprised.
That was
from Zombthology.
I wrote a zombie short, and it's basically, it's called Phase 1. It's kind of like that. It's kind of cool. How did you get casted in that?
It's like a lot of things. You know some people. I don't usually work with an agent, but I've worked with some people who then say, "Oh, I'd like to do this." Well, very quickly, when we were working with Gettysburg Stage, we did a show called the Shirtwaist Factory Fire Project, about the shirtwaist fire in New York City in the early 1900s, late 1800s.
Yeah,
when it's passed, I don't remember all the details, but The factory caught fire. A lot of immigrant women who were working in the upper floors were trapped. And as a garment factory with no safety precautions, and this was like 100 years ago, um, people were jumping out of sixth floor windows uh,
Yeah.
to their deaths. And we did that at the Gettysburg Fire Hall. And the person who was doing dialect coaching for us, because we each played like 5 characters, a friend of his came to see the show and liked it, but then he contacted me and he said, I saw you in this show and we're doing a piece for Lifetime TV, and I think you'd make a good judge for this other show we're going to be doing. And I said, well, that'd be great, So I went down to Frederick, Maryland, and we shot at the old courthouse there, and had a great time with the shoot. And a couple of days later, I got a call from somebody who said, we're doing this program about the men who made America, and we heard some good reports about your performance and this and that, and we'd like to just get a few more details. And I said, well, okay, there's this and there's that, and it was going along merrily. And then he said, and what size are you? Like, well, how tall are you? And I said 6'4". And they said, oh, well, thank you very much, and we'll let you know. So it's one connection after another connection after another connection. You think, well, that feels pretty good, but then you kind of get shut down because that's not quite what they were looking for, or they had all these period costumes, but they're not my size.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason that you get cast or you don't get cast, you have to have, I wouldn't say just a tough skin, because it may have nothing to do with your skill, your looks, your background, your talent, your ambitions. It has to do with what the director is looking for and what they need. Maybe you can talk your way in around the corner somehow, but generally they know on sight if they see somebody who's going to do the role that they have in mind. And in a sense, it's kind of precast, but they're looking for the person who fits that character.
True. I just gathered from the information you just shared, that little story. I'm just like, it's just keep acting, just act, just keep acting, just take roles, just keep acting, just stay busy.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of comments here, so let's go through these real quick.
Oh, sure.
Brandon
Thank you all for tuning in tonight. This is wonderful.
This is cool. Yeah, thank you, everybody. I saw recently you stopped at Kicksburg, where a UFO was rumored to have crashed. Are you into ufology? Because I think we could chat each other's ear off on that subject.
Yes.
Yes, he's into it. Yes.
If you're not familiar, Kecksburg is sometimes called the Roswell of the East.
Oh, I'm not.
And back in 1965, this strange light was seen crossing a number of states at night in the airway, and twirled around somewhere over Kecksburg and then plunged into the forest. It was seen by some of the local townsfolk who made their way into the woods. But then the military showed up, chased everybody off, hauled something off in a flatbed truck, and said there was nothing there. So in Kecksburg, they have an annual celebration of UFO, and it's a UFO festival. And there was a network that did a special documentary on the Kecksburg incident. And when they'd done a mock-up of this craft, which was kind of acorn-shaped, as they say, with strange symbols or writing on it. I think everything has strange symbols or writing on it. When they were done with the documentary, and this thing's like 12 feet wide, 10 feet high, whatever, they donated it to the town of Kecksburg, to the fire company.
Oh, cool. Which
then had this acorn-shaped craft thing mounted on a platform beside the fire company. So on my way back from the Living Dead weekend, last weekend in Pittsburgh, let's just stop at Kecksburg. And so I got my picture taken. My wife Linda took the picture with the acorn-shaped thing and the platform behind me. Thanks, Brandon. We will definitely be able to talk about UFOs. And I have been to the Kecksburg UFO festival. It's like a weekend, and there are all sorts of cool things that go on. It's a small town, and so everything from yard sales to You can get your alien drink
Oh God,
lemonade,
yes.
shaped like an alien green. And uh, some interesting speakers, some people who were there at the time of this thing crashed,
Yeah.
their experiences and people they remembered and what they had said and what they had seen. So yeah, I'm into ufology, you bet. Bigfoot, I got big feet. I'll talk about that too. Stan Gordon in Pennsylvania is probably the best UFO and Sasquatch coordinator because he receives all of these reports. And to the extent that, let's say, some strange beast is seen in a part of Pennsylvania and they don't have a real good description, they call up Stan and say, "Hey, Stan, would you be interested?" The state police will say, "Stan, you want to go talk to these folks?" And Stan will go out and he'll get all the details and he'll walk where this creature was seen walking. They'll look for evidence and all sorts of stuff.
That's
It's lovely. I mean, it's just it's wonderful.
my whole thing. I think Bigfoot might exist, but I think Bigfoot's actually pixelated. That's why we can never tell what Bigfoot is. We have too many high definition cameras to not tell what is that Bigfoot. Not. I think Bigfoot's actually pixelated. So when it comes in a photo, it just looks like that. So it just goes in the frame.
Well, if you've ever seen photos like from a quick stop store where there's been a break in or something
Oh
and
yeah,
the
yeah.
cameras there, you can get better detail of craters on the moon than you can with those cameras.
Yes, that's so smart. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know. Um,
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Maybe they are actually passing through another dimension, and that's why we can't
Oh,
quite.
we're going deep. Maybe my Mac Mondays is gonna get a little bit manic right here on the Monday.
Didn't know
We
you
have.
knew all this, did you?
I'm like, I'm taking it in, man. I knew this was gonna be. I was like, I'm just gonna save everything to the show. The India Escape Network. Our India Escape buddy Tiffany Shepes is in Zoomology
Ontology. Uh-huh.
as well, and that's the word of the day. Tiffany Shepes. Ah,
Tiffany
so
Shepard is a great actress, great
oh,
gal.
she's
And we've actually been in 3 films together, but never in the same set, never on set at the same.
oh, I didn't. I forget about that. That's a lot. That happens a
Kind of
lot.
like fun. She was doing Edge of Night, and I brought in my Maladjusted T-shirt because she was in the Maladjusted as well.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I saw that. My first language is Spanish, so I was like, mala. It's like, um, so it says here, Brandon Salisbury, you definitely have a calming presence. And
Oh,
then
well, thank you.
the bad boy's back again, JW. He says, you just did Living Dead weekend in Monroeville, PA. Can you touch on the significance of the area where Romero shot Night of the Living Dead and how the area embraced it? Embraced it.
Sure. Actually, it's 2 different things. One is Monroeville at the mall is where most of Dawn of the Dead was filmed and Dawn was released in 1978. So you have a lot of areas around and inside the mall, including the little Monroeville Airport, just a couple miles away. That's where my ship came in at the airport. And Night of the Living Dead, 10 years earlier, was done in Evans City, which is just west of Pittsburgh and a bit north. Evans City, due to the efforts of Kevin Kreis, who does the Living Dead weekend, hosted in October a Night of the Living Dead event and also set up his Living Dead Museum in Evans City. And so after a couple of years, the town thought, this is really good for business. A lot of people are coming in. They would show the film, set up a tent in the park, and the actors who had been in the original Night of the Living Dead would be there doing autographs, talking about what was going on at the time. Uh, it really is an embracing by the town of the film and the filmmaking because I went there from Dawn of the Dead when Kevin invited me in, and people would say, I saw them making that movie. I looked out of my window across the street when they were doing this or they were doing that. That's really kind of cool because the town also put up a plaque commemorating Night of the Living Dead. And the people who were involved with the film, like Gary Striner, uh, when they saw that the sort of iconic chapel at the cemetery where a lot of, the opening
Mm-hmm.
for Night of the Living Dead was filmed, that chapel was kind of falling into disrepair. And there was some talk about maybe tearing it down. Well, they didn't want that to happen, so they did a Facebook campaign, raised about $50,000
Oh, so cool.
to repair and restore the chapel. And they had a grand opening for it at the opening of the Living Dead weekend in Evans City when they were doing it there. And George Romero came out, he cut the ribbon, and just spent the day walking around talking with people. You could take photos with him. He wasn't doing autographs at the time, but just talking about Night of the Living Dead. And today, people, I have a lot of friends in the UK and from Germany who like to go to all the sites where films were made. And they'll show pictures. Here's the tombstone from Evans City. Here's the chapel. Here's this scene that from that house, or from Creep Show. It's just fantastic because they really want to know, not just, oh, I want to meet one of the actors. They want to know everything about the films. They are totally dedicated. And I'll tell you, as a person who's had the opportunity to be in one of these films, in Dawn of the Dead, it just fills me with a glee and a sense of pride having been part of it. And some people come to me and they say, "Oh, that was the greatest scene," and so forth. And I think I'm humbled by that. I truly am. And at the same time, I know what kind of that fanboy feeling is because I have that with like the creature from the Black Lagoon. I mean, when I had the chance to meet Raku Browning, who is the creature swimming under the water, and that was one of my boyhood favorite films, and I think it's still one of my favorite films because I don't know if it's just me, but I think everybody roots for the creature because the people are generally creeps. And Julie Adams, who was also in it, I had a chance to meet her. So, I have my fanboy moments too. There are people in films like that.
I'm fanboying, like boying out right now. Where you're like, I was like, yeah, me. I want to know everything. I want to go to those places. David Madison just went to like all those places. He went to like Michael Myers' house in Nightmare on Elm Street, and I was like, oh, I need to get there. And I do appreciate you sending me these photos because you're like, look, he's fanboying out right here, Tom Savini. But you also, you have experience with him. It's cool. Like,
yeah, there's a little story behind that. I'll take a moment and tell you just because this was at a convention in near Cleveland a few years back. When Tom and I were in college together in Pittsburgh, we were part of an alternative theater company, and we did a 2-person play called Zoo Story. And in this play, there are 2 characters. I'm a kind of businessman sitting on a park bench and just reading in my paper. And this crazy guy, Tom, comes over saying, I've been to the zoo. And I go, oh, no. But he's trying to engage me in conversation and eventually, starts taunting and trying to provoke a fight. I said, I don't want to fight you. The Tom's character pulls out a switchblade. Well, here, I'll give that to you. That'll make it even. And so we did this, and we did it a couple nights. And the idea is that Tom's character is kind of doing suicide by stranger.
oh,
I grab the knife, he runs into it. It's a real knife. It's, click, drops it on the floor, clunk. It's real. It's not plastic. It doesn't have this retreating blade.
Yeah, it doesn't retract.
So after about 3 performances, Tom says, we're out in the hallway getting ready to go in to the performance space. And Tom says, Jim, I don't think people in the back could see the knife as well. So I got another one. And he pulls out this, like a big jackknife, which is like this long. The blade is that wide. He says, now, if you hold that up like that, I think people in the back are going to be able to see you. I said, Tom, I don't think we should be changing this up in the middle because seriously, this is a real knife. And, it's a matter of timing, with the length of the knife, because the way we do it is as he charges, I quickly flip to the back of my hand
Yeah,
to
that's
the
right.
front and kind of punch him in the stomach with the back of my hand. And he responds and goes over. But Tom was not to be denied. He wanted to, he wanted to use this knife, and so I said, I'm still kind of protesting. I'm standing up, and he said, "Well, hold it." Well, and I'm holding it, and he starts running at me, and I try to flick it away, but it catches Tom in the stomach,
Oh god.
and he starts bleeding. He looks down. He says, "I think I'm stuck." It didn't go in very deeply, but it was enough to draw some blood. So we kind of covered that up. We looked around some offices or something. I don't know if we got some tissues and Scotch tape or something, and just kind of covered it over.
Oh god.
And the director comes bebopping down the hall and says, "Well, guys, everything okay?" Tom says, "Yeah, we're ready to go." So we went out on stage, did this 2-person show. We used Tom's big knife. I was maybe a little more careful, pulled it back a little further as we did the flick. And when Tom pulls back after being stabbed, people say, "Wow, that's a terrific effect." Of course, it was own blood, that just been peeking through the well, Tom and I always talk about that scene. He remembers it a little differently. He says, I think we changed the knife. You actually stabbed me on stage." I said, "No, that was in the rehearsal that we were doing just before when you wanted to switch the knife." So, over the years, everybody has a slightly different memory. But when we were doing this show around Cleveland, we were both doing the show, and they had this display of knives and things. And Tom came up and he said, "Hey, look at this really cool knife." And I said, "Hey, Tom, let me get a picture with the two of us, me holding the knife and you kind of looking surprised." So the picture you just showed there,
Oh yeah.
was the one from that convention. Yeah,
The
right
knife.
there. Tommy like, So it was just kind of like he and I will get it. Everybody else might need a brief explanation.
That thank you for the story. That photo here makes so much more, like, it gives it more value. That's what we know the story behind it. That's so. And then I met Tom Savini twice. I could have met him a third time, but I didn't because I felt like he's he's very professional in a way where I see when I talk to him about something specific, like unless like he's like very thorough. He's like, "Did you do this? Did you do that?" I was like, "Oh shit, I'm sorry." I was like, "Oh, I gotta do this." Okay, Tom Savini said to do it this way because it's like I don't know. I take it all in, but I feel like every time I talk to him, he's like very professional. Then you tell me this story, I'm like I could see him being like that though, like at his younger age, being a little bit more like, "Yeah, let's try it out."
Well, you and I might look at something and think of something. Tom is 3 steps ahead, doing
Right.
things and experimenting with them. A lot of the effects in Dawn of the Dead, Tom invented.
Oh,
Either making new use of old materials or creating new materials. Uh, the effects, I think he said George Romero had called him before the film and said, "Tom, how many ways can you think of to kill people?" And Tom said, 100. He said, "Okay, well, let's roll with that." So Tom came up with things like, the machete zombie and the screwdriver in the ear zombie. And there were so many effects, and some of them I understand were created on site, spur of the moment, in the mall when they needed to do a quick effect, quick kill. Other ones were a little more practiced, like Tom falling off the balcony, and
yeah.
when he fell off the balcony onto the floor, they had cardboard boxes and some other things to break the fall, but it didn't quite work right. So Tom said, "Well, we'll have to do that again." And I think he did hurt himself doing that, but he just kept on going. Another quick story: there's this plate glass window that Tom drives a motorcycle through. He's one of the motorcycle raiders in Dawn of the Dead. Drives through this window. Well, the window is I guess like a sugared kind of material.
Yeah.
It's not real glass, but they had made it so thick that it was a heck of an impact. Tom's head, it nearly killed him.
Oh wow.
So, when you experiment, sometimes you have time to see how this experiment's going to go. Other times you say, we got time to do this once.
Yeah.
It's either going to work or not. If it doesn't work, we can't put it in the film. So,
Yeah, don't tell it to Tom. I mean, I got I didn't realize we're not running short. We can extend it a little bit, but let's see. What's up, Sean Smith? And hello, Jim. Hello, brother. Hey, and then we have Brandon E. Brooks has a question. Jim, has there been any word about a release of Night of the Living Dead Genesis film you did years back with Judas O'Day from the original film? O'Day?
I would love to say that I had an answer for that. I think that one photo you had of me as the sheriff that you posted coming down like the courthouse steps. Yeah, there. That was my character in Night of the Living Dead Genesis. And I would love to tell you that it's coming out later this year, but it's been what, maybe 8 years
Oh
since we shot.
wow, it's been a minute.
So I'm not quite sure what all the holdups are, but I hope it has a good release and a good reception when it does come out. Sorry, I
Yeah.
can't be more specific. I
Nah, I mean 8 years. It's
don't
yeah, it's
know.
been a minute. Well, I did want to go on because we are here for. We did talk about Darkness Waits. We're on the Dawn of the Dead subject. So with everyone just here, we're gonna. I have a little thing here for us that we can do. So we can show people. We're gonna talk about at the very bottom it says into the helicopter zombie zone. So let me get
Huh.
people. Let's get people into the zone real quick. And let's see. Let's see. I got a video here. I'm about to play this.
Roger!
Had to do a little bit different there. That was my impression of Joe Ridgely being on the show, on the set.
He
Um,
snuck in
what?
credit, didn't he? He's a good guy, but he
Okay.
snuck in credit there.
I was like, I can't have an original video, so let me do something. One thing I did, so that's what I love when you're sharing this to me. All this, I love that, man. I don't know where to begin here. Let me see. You have the fans that is this fan art?
This was done for another convention, and the promoter had these made up so I could have them at my table. I don't think I got them until partway through the show, but it was just kind of a fun piece.
Cool. And I saw this one was awesome. Someone when it made you.
I believe this was a creation of a fan in Germany who made this, and you can see it has two heads, which are interchangeable, the one down at the bottom and the one at top.
And
And he gave me this one in exchange for signing the other one.
awesome.
So it
And
just it was just such a nice gesture, and to come all that way and put all that detail in it. I'm just really honored and humbled by it.
it looks like you. And then I see you're wearing your shirt there. You wanted to the helicopter zombie the
Well, actually, that's what I'm wearing here tonight too. It's
yeah the helicopter shirt.
let's see, backward here.
Yeah.
Dawn of the Dead.
Boom boom boom. And
I
this is
tried
so.
more to take more clothes off, but that's it.
I thought this was cool too that you sent me this that they're talking about it in Japan.
Yes, you can see someone said, I don't know if that was Norman England who lives in Japan and does subtitles for Japanese movies in English. But you can see there's a little block there with me in it, and they're talking about helicopter zombie having a grand time with it. I don't think it's a laughing matter. I thought it was pretty serious business. They seem to be having a pretty jolly time, and we have some
That's
great fans in Japan too.
that's so cool. Like I mean I think that's awesome that people are like not only like just like making this stuff for you, just they're just like just having a conversation. It's on a show. It's so awesome. But I did like that. That's you doing the scene. You're the zombie. And when you sent this, I was like, this is what I love. The blueprint, how they did it. That is so cool because it's really like I see this as the pre-production, and I saw the video. You see the video in the movie, and you see it like, oh, that's exactly how they pulled it off. But I can follow here. I love looking at that. That's just so you had those cords on your back as you're going up on the.
Yeah, those were blood tubes running up the trousers, up the back of the shirt, up the back of my neck. And then I think that's one of the reasons I was wearing a turtleneck or a dickie
Okay.
to hold everything together that way as part of the costume. And Tom in his workshop had created the appliance and all the pieces that went together for the top of my head. And the blood tubes were in that, embedded in that. So he was able then to connect the ones, the tubes running up the back to the ones
Yeah.
created at the top. And then behind the boxes, Tom and another guy had these hand pumps that had the blood material in them. And on cue, then they were able to pump, and then the streams of blood started coming out of the top of my head. That's after someone off camera had taken off this sort of false top off the top of my head with a piece of monofilament fishing line, just yank. So it was a matter of pretty quick timing. And people say a lot of, what'd you think of George Romero and his directing? And really, for that scene and a couple other ones, Tom took over the direction of that because he knew what had to happen, the timing, the effects, and how to direct the people to make it come off, literally to come off. So George did the directing like under the airplane wing where I come out and walking across the field and all of that. And so I didn't have an opportunity to work under George more than that, except that when my scene was done, and George just had this great big smile on his face, and okay, that was wonderful. Next,
What?
you're when you're doing a film schedule, you're on a very tight schedule. Every minute is dollars and daylight, so you have to keep moving. So for all the anticipation weeks ahead to do this scene, I mean, I had to go to Tom Savini's workshop, get my head completely cast and alginate, and then plaster on top of that, while breathing through a straw for half an hour or so. And then Tom called and said, plaster cracked. We have to do it again.
Oh,
Went back and did it again, and decided I never wanted to do that again. But he got the mold that he needed to build the appliances and make it all look good. So that's kind of how it all came together. And at that point, there's this anticipation and this adrenaline just rushing through you. And then in a sense, it's like the end of a play.
Yeah.
Bam, curtain closes, and you're just still full of this adrenaline that doesn't go away for a day or
No. Yeah.
days. And then you kind of wonder, gee, did I make it in the movie?
That's true.
And then they had this screening for the cast and crew and all associated folks. And there were hundreds and hundreds of people in this theater in Pittsburgh. And you look around, and, I worked in theater, so I knew a lot of the other folks who were working in Dawn of the Dead, like David Early and David Crawford and Nick Tallow and Tom. And I recognized them, and I thought, well, I'll get to see what they did because their scenes weren't necessarily near mine. So you're sitting there and watching it as a whole new experience because it's not just another movie. It's one that you might be in if your scene is good enough.
That's true.
And you don't know until it comes up. And I thought, oh, that's me under the airplane wing. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, it's me walking across. Oh, hey. And
So
then there's this response from the other folks, yay, or
yeah.
whoa, ooh, wow, that's cool. And you think, wow, I wonder if they're going to leave that in the final production,
Yeah. So was that one take?
Yeah, everything was done in one take for me. Yes.
Wow, wow, that's that. Hey, you made it. Like tip the hat. That one take with that. That's awesome that you guys were to pull that off.
Oh,
Uh, that's excellent. That's like I love hearing that. That just like I was thinking, I was like, I mean, maybe somebody pulled it. So is the actual helicopter's propeller going, and you're just kind of like angled where it looks like you're in front of it, but you're not, or did
I
they?
was actually under the blades, but the blades moving were animated in afterward.
Ah, okay. So you. Oh,
One of the
wow.
few things where that was animated in. Both Tom and I had served in the Army in Vietnam. He was as a combat photographer, and I was a combat medic. We'd both been around a lot of helicopters during that period. And being 6'4", as I mentioned earlier, you know, no matter what size helicopter it was, I would always duck coming anywhere near it. So I was a doggone fool of a zombie for not only walking toward it, but standing up on boxes to get across to my lunch there, refueling.
So we got a comment here. Let's see. Thank you for your service, Jim, from Amber
Thank
Salisbury.
you, Amber.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and also yeah, thank you. Let's see. It says from Brandon Salisbury, Kevin is going back to Evans City to do a special Living Dead weekend event this October. Awesome, good to know.
Yes.
So I did happen to come across. Oh, wait, did I post it? I see you have a an event coming up soon. Where did I put that thing? I guess I didn't upload it. Let's see where I got it. Oh, here it is. Sorry, I didn't upload it. Let me one second. I think you have something in New Jersey coming up. In
Yes, that's August 21st. It's Nerd Fest at the Holiday Inn in Swedesboro. I've not been there, so it looks like it's going to be a very fun event. And in July, we have the Hershey Comic Con, which is coming up on Saturday, July 16th. And that's a one day from 10 to 5. Oh, yeah, you have that up there. Thank you.
cool, yeah.
So that should be fun too. And that's not too far from home. And Mr. Lobo, he's
Oh, okay.
TV horror host. He's a great guy. He was also the narrator last year in Gettysburg at the Creature Feature Weekend when they actually did another makeup reenactment on me as the helicopter zombie.
That's right. I saw the photos.
So he narrated that, and he and I got to know each other a little bit. I really, appreciated it. He's just a very smooth guy and just very professional, very good, very nice.
Yeah, wow, that's so cool. I mean, I saw the photo online, and like you actually were following the same way you did, like in the movie. Like I saw the angle where you're like that. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Brandon said, Brandon E. Brooks, fantastic so CJ. Thank you, brother. With a fantastic guest. Great job, Jim. I hope to work with you in the near future. Cheers to you.
Thank you so
Wow.
very much. Kudos to you, CJ. I mean, this is great. I appreciate your having. Think of it this way: you have the initiative to put this event and show together, and independent filmmaking, in a way, is the same thing. So I really try to encourage people who are working in independent films and those who talk about them and the people who are in them and what it means because it really is a community, but it takes people who've got an entrepreneurial spirit and a lot of passion for doing what they want to do to see it through. And I just want to commend you for doing that.
Thank you, sir. It means a lot. Like I really appreciate it. Like you noticed that. Yeah, no, I just I didn't realize how much like I said before we got on this that I didn't realize doing this was gonna keep growing and growing. I just got on here just to have fun and I've been enjoying everything. I've learned so much, and I think that's what the whole Manic Mondays thing is. I called it off. I started off like interactive vlog because I want to just if I don't have anybody here, I'll just talk to myself and just check up on people, and I show progression and how I'm doing. And I can't just really talk about mental health if I don't do anything about it. So I guess let's finish this show off, Jim. I have one final question for you, and
Sure.
what is your manic media? And my manic media is what you use to unwind. Usually, mostly people use music. Libby McDermott likes to go and pick mushrooms. That relaxes her. Scott Meany likes to listen to vinyl. A lot of people like music. Even Joe Castro. So, what's your mind? What's your medium? What do you like to do that relaxes you? When the stress kind of you just want to like unwind. What do you like to do?
All I have to do is step into the garden, and the garden nurtures me. I don't mean just picking blueberries or strawberries or radishes or cucumbers or peas or lettuce or onions or all this other stuff.
I'm like, that's all. I keep going, keep going, keep going. I love
Because
all this
you
stuff.
have this investment in it, but it's just a miracle of nature. Sometimes we have a lot of artifice around us, but just to see how nature really works, it's so miraculous. And that's why I like gardening. I can sometimes just go, I better go out and do some trimming or pruning, and I'll just sit there and I'll just look at them, and ask them how they're doing, and the
Yeah,
plants. Um, they said, haven't been around for a while, fella. We need a little water.
I love
So I try to stay straight with the plants, and if I'm good with them, that helps me to calm down.
that.
Plus, being in the dirt is really good for you. I think
It,
there's a good energy in the earth.
I think so too. I think once you start taking care of it, it'll take care of you. And with me and gardening, I didn't realize I was gonna fall in love with it like I did. But you're right, you can do a bunch of things. The thing I love about gardening, it shows what you're putting your time. If you only have a set amount of time for the harvest to go or to come, and if it doesn't, if you don't put your time in it, it's like a movie. Like I beat myself up because I'm like, I want them to be good movies. Like I want to make my feature already. And I'm beating myself up. But I just had a conversation right before I got here, but while I was doing the stand up, and I answered like a question of my own where I was just like, you just make a movie. That's it. That's all you do, and then you learn from there. And then the gardening is the same thing. It showed me you put time into it. Like I let the garden the first year, I let it grow wild because I wanted to see how crazy it was gonna get. And then the second year too, I cleaned it up a little bit, but I still let it go wild. This third year, I've been on it, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't harvest as early, but it's getting nicer. It's taking its time. I'm putting more effort into it, into the cherry tomatoes, because I usually I let them go crazy, and they get big. They turn huge, and so I was trying to get them to be like more cleaned up, and I was trying to, how do I do this? How could I? Because it gets bad. You have like a 6 foot branch just like sticking out of the garden, but it has tomatoes on it, so I don't want to tear it down. So and it took forever to get there, so I'm just gonna let it go till it dies. But it takes forever, but I love it. Um,
Learning to manage that is a challenge, but every step of that learning
yeah.
is just so enriching for you. Like, now I know something I didn't know before, and somebody else has that same issue. You can share your information with them.
Exactly, and you're sharing like your experience, and you're sharing your part of it, because it's one thing to sit in the background and to kind of observe and have an opinion, but it's another thing to actually be in the dirt and know how it feels, know how it's gritty. Like you were saying too, when I first started gardening, I was like not knowing that I was going to get sore because all the up and down, picking all the weeds out, clean. Like I was like, this is a nice workout. Like I like
It
this. This
is.
is
It
cool.
is.
It's
It
like,
keeps you healthy.
I love it.
Somebody once told me, like, if we each had $1, I gave you $1, you'd have $2, and I'd have none. But if I have an idea, you have an idea, and I give you an idea, or you give me an idea, then we both have two ideas.
Oh wow.
Whether
I
it's
de-
information, I know that. Let it soak in there. Let it steam a little
No,
bit.
I get exactly what you're saying, and that just makes way more much sense to me. A couple years back, well, maybe by now it's been like 7 years ago. I had a manager discussion at a restaurant I was working at, and she told me, she was like, you catch more more bees with honey, CJ. And I realized I knew exactly what she meant. So I changed my attitude right then and there, and I was like, oh, it was kind of hard, but it works. And yes, that was deep. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Tim, thanks for a great show. Like I said, I think as in the theater, I think this is where I should do the poll because it was been such a great show. I think it'd be. I just want to leave on a high note. Thank you. I like we started movies. We ended gardening. I love both those things. This is the type of show I enjoy.
I just want to thank everybody. Just take a moment to thank everybody who's tuned in tonight for your questions, for your really kind comments. It means a lot, and I appreciate the connection we have with each other, and your appreciation for the films, and tuning into shows, supporting CJ, supporting me this way, and like the ideas, share it all with somebody else you know and love.
That's so cool. Thank you so much, Jim. I'm gonna just head us out of here. So we're gonna say peace, to everybody. Jim, do you want anybody to follow you on social medias? Do you want to do anything like that, or do you have
Well, I'm
anything?
on Facebook under Jim Krut, spelled just the way my name is. And my website has my appearances and things like that. That's Hella Zombie, HeliZombie, Hella Zombie. My email address, jimkrut@hellozombie.com. So
That's awesome. Yeah.
just check it
Yeah.
out. Google it. It'll pop up if you want to know any more.
Yeah,
And
thank you. Thank you, Amber.
thank you
Yeah.
all
Thank you.
again.
And see, we got some people. Thank you, Sean. Man, Sean, thank you for hanging out with us, Sean. Brandon says, thank you for your time and your wonderful stories. It's a pleasure to listen to. It is. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate that.
Brendan says, we appreciate you, Jim. Thank you, good sir. Again, excellent show, CJ. Proud of you, brother. Man, thank you, Brendan. Like, I'm learning from my family members too. So the Indie Escape family members. But I'm going to just log us off, Jim. So everybody, you have a good night. And thank you for everybody tuning in. And then, to hang out with the network with us. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We're always here. So everybody,